Hi again. So we're not doing the temptations tomorrow, we're doing them today. Earlier, I gave you 9 gifts from love, and now I'm giving you 9 temptations. Okay, the first one, I'll give you all of them first and then I'll tell you what they are, is ego or false self. The second one is denial. The third one is enslavement. Fourth one is chaos. Fifth one is depression. Sixth one is agitation. I couldn't really come up with something that could just be it. It's more like a constant state of agitation, energized, lit. And then the seventh one is hungry, eighth one is orphan, and the ninth one is homeless. Okay, so I told you earlier in the 9 gifts of love that the whole point of love is the fourth one, which is unity, so that we reflect love. Okay, so if you think back to the whole issue of where fear came from, it was that the enemy was not happy just being part of the family and being in his position and doing what he was made to do. He wanted a name for himself, and that's his thing. All the people, all the angels, angelic beings, spiritual beings that followed him into rebellion wanted the same thing. They wanted to have a name for themselves that was above God's name. Okay, so the first one is ego, and don't think of ego, id, and superego. No, this is any sense of self that resides outside of eternal white light. If parts of yourself have been given over to belief systems, culture, habit, anything like that, anything at all, then it is a false sense of self. Wherever you find your identity, and there's tons of people that find their identity in their giftings, and it is a false sense of self. Remember, I told you when you first come to Jesus, you get the gown of salvation. The next one is robe of humility. It is, it's beautiful. It almost looks like, if you think of the invisibility cloak on Harry Potter, it's brown and blue. It's just, oh, it's so beautiful. But anyways, that's the next one you get is humility, because you know who you are in light of God, and you understand your need for him. Okay, so ego is the opposite of that. It's I don't really want to find all of who I am in someone I don't necessarily want to know. And so it's the very first thing you have to deal with. The second one is denial. It is coming into the presence of truth. It's seeing truth, but shunning her presence. And truth is Mama God. Okay. So it's a very cowardly thing to do, to come in the presence of truth and just walk away. But loads of people do it. And you can't get anywhere, you can't grow any. You are always going to come back to the point where you came in contact with truth and you denied having seen it because you didn't want the responsibility of transformation. So the third one is enslavement. Rather than, remember the third gift was choice. Loads of people don't want to choose. They would rather things just happen because they don't want to bear the responsibility of it. So enslavement is failing to take responsibility for difference. You have to take responsibility for your own difference. And enslavement is, it comes about when difference is here, and you get to choose, but you don't choose either. So circumstances instead just pile on top of that, and you end up becoming enslaved at the very point where you chose to not choose, where you chose not to take responsibility for your difference. The fourth one is chaos, and it's interesting that chaos is in the fourth position because unity is reflecting light, chaos is reflecting darkness. There is no connection to love. In everything that you do, you seem like a loose cannon, someone who's not connected to anything in this world or out there. You're just kind of haphazardly doing all kinds of things. And if you're like, life is very chaotic, it's because you don't have an anchor. You don't have a true north. Your compass is just broke. Okay. So these are the things that you have to work through. And if any of these apply as I speak to you, then that's where you're at. That's where you're at. And you just ask Daddy God to come in this place and go, oh my goodness, this is where I am. Will you please meet me here and deliver me? Bring me out. Help me to accept truth. And he will take you to the very point where you decided not to take responsibility for the truth you were, in fact, in the presence of. Okay, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 is depression. Depression comes from hope being deferred, but it's hope deferred through expectations anchored in the natural. Forever and a day, my hope was anchored in natural circumstances changing. And when they didn't, I just grew more and more hopeless, more and more hopeless. And that's the only outcome when your anchor is in things changing, you not changing, but things changing. And it just takes you to a place of such heaviness. Like you have no power in this world to change anything that comes out of you or happens to you. That's all based in a lie, and you have to work through it. So the next one is, like I said, is agitation, energized, lit, on the prowl. You have a connection erection. You're always looking for something to fill you up, something that will cure your hunger. I call it the crap magnet. That's really what it is. The temptation of being a crap magnet. You are in a state of just like this all the time. You've got to find something to fill you up, and you're attracting to you all of the fears that you will not address. All of them. They're just coming to you. They're like, oh, there she is. And it just gets heavier and heavier and heavier. The only one who can meet you there and deliver you is Daddy God, who is love. The 7th one is hungry. You're hungry all the time. And it's the best definition for hungry in this temptation is obesity on empty. Give that a think. The 8th one is orphan. No one to claim you. No one to give you their name. No one to say this one belongs to us. They're just out there. They have no connection to anyone in this life. They're just out there. That's a horrible life to live. That's not life. That's death in action. And the final one is homeless, where there is no provision. And believe it or not, I've come through every last one of these. The last one was homeless, where God brought me through homelessness, restored me to my family. And now I'm just like, there is no state that I can be in that God isn't. He's already there. I want to encourage every last one of you, wherever you're at in these temptations, call Daddy God right now and ask him to come into that space and to bring you out through grace. Hope you all have a great Saturday. This is all I got today. Love you all. Bye-bye.